now, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you a man who needs no introduction for those who've been around for a while, Jon Mundy, co-founder of the seminary that I graduated from, longtime student of A Course in Miracles, teacher of A Course in Miracles, actually was mentored in the Course by Helen Schuckman, the scribe of the Course. So, without further ado, here's our good friend, Jon Mundy.
Good morning. You all hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you, David. And Judy, it's nice to be with you. As you may know, I was actually supposed to be, of course, physically there this morning. I was supposed to lead a workshop in Michigan for the last week over at Olivet College for the Great Lakes Retreat, and then coming to see you guys today. So this is the next best thing to being there, and this actually works out pretty good. So it's wonderful being back and seeing a lot of friends. I don't know whether if Lori and Rod are on here yet, but I know that they'll be at the workshop this afternoon if not. So hi to them and hi to all of you, and thanks for your help with this whole process. So our topic for this morning is I am responsible for what I see. It's an important section from A Course in Miracles. I don't know how many of you A Course in Miracles students or just have some familiarity with it. One suggestion I might make is that if you have a copy of the Course in Miracles somewhere near you, that you get it. And I'm going to be reading particularly from one section. It's chapter 21, section 1, and then section 2, and talking about what those concepts mean. Dr. Ken Wapnick, who was really the major spokesman for A Course in Miracles, at one point said that essentially what the Course in Miracles is about, it's about being responsible. And not just being responsible, but learning how to make responsible decisions, which would be outside of the hands of the ego, so that we actually get where we want to go. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to talk for about the next 18, 19 minutes. Then we're going to break into discussion for about 15 minutes, and that will be it for this morning. So with the help of Eric, I'm going to go through a series of slides, and I'll keep note of when that my time is up, and we'll come to be thinking about what kind of questions you might like to ask in relationship to the presentation. So Eric, if you want to do our first slide. This is just an opening slide, just to say what our topic is. I am responsible for what I see. All right, slide. So this is Ken saying this is a course in accepting responsibility. What we think, what we feel, and what we do. Bang, that's it right there. And advance. So everyone, the Course says, is seeking to escape from a prison he's made. And the way to find release is not deny him being in him, he has found it. Over on the left side, you may say, I made it up the prison in which I see myself. That's lesson 57 of Course in Miracles. So what this world is, what am I doing here? How did I get here? What's going on? Well, in terms of the Course, this place is a school. Several times the Course uses the word classroom to describe what we're going through right now. A Course of Love, which is kind of a complement to the Course in Miracles, says it is a school. It's like a mental hospital. It's, if you will, a reformatory. So we're all here to kind of reform and to get greater clarity about how we actually can graduate from here, which would really mean to go back home again. The Course says we have sort of rebelliously, if you will, left home, namely heaven, and now we're trying to find our way back. A good illustration of that is the story of the prodigal son, which we'll go into, but it's a good one. So we take on different classes. And sometimes the classes we sign up for, they're kind of tough classes. It's like, you look and say, oh, look here. Here is a class. This class is called divorce. I think I'll try the divorce class and see what I can learn through that. Or over here, this is called children. I think I'll try the children route and see what I can learn from children. Or, oh my goodness, here, look, this is a really look interesting. This class is called bankruptcy. I think I'll try about bankruptcy and see what that's got for me. Oh, wait, here's another. This is called alcoholism. I'll try alcoholism and see what I can learn through that. Or, of course, if we're smarter, we're going to choose some pathways that are going to be a little smoother and a little easier for us, but there's no pathway that they're on that, of course, says, as Dave was actually saying earlier when he talked about divine ordinance, or, everything is in divine order. We actually chose this classroom. We chose to come here. We chose to go through these experiences that we're going through. All is a part of our waking up. So let's wake up. How do you wake up? Well, you wake up by being responsible for what I see. So advance. So for some of you are probably very, very familiar with this opening passage. This is from chapter 1. The first paragraph in chapter 21 of the course. And I read simply, projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it. The next word is a very important word, nothing. It's nothing more than that. But though it's not more than that, it's not less. Therefore, to you, it's important. It's a witness to your state of mind. It's an outside picture of an inner condition. As a man thinketh, so is he. What's interesting about that line is that it appears in Proverbs. And then Jesus quotes it in the Gospels, except in the Gospels he says that it's as a man believeth, so is he. So that's the process, right? I guess was my video off? I didn't know. Okay. All right. So let's go on to our next slide. So this phrase here is the phrase which appears just immediately before the section that we're going to look at in a little bit more depth this morning. So this says, this is the only thing you need to do. It's very important. The only thing you need to do for vision, happiness, release from pain, the complete escape, all to be given you. Say only this. So there's something we have to say. Oh, but here comes the kicker. But mean it. You don't just have to say this, you have to mean it with no reservation. For herein the power of salvation lies. So if you can say what we're about to read from the next section of the course, you can say this and you can mean it, the results will come about. So let's advance. So there are 3 sentences that we're going to look at. These 3 sentences contain 5 basic ideas. And I really suggest memorizing these 3 sentences. In fact, with the students that I work with here in the New York area, I actually insist, if they will, it's just 3 sentences. Learn these 3 sentences. And actually, it's a really good idea to, if you kind of get into trouble at some point along the way, you're a little like stressed, you need some guidance, say these 3 sentences. So let's advance. So here's the 3 sentences. It actually contains 5 ideas, so I broke it into the 5 ideas. We'll talk about each one for a little bit. 1, I am responsible for what I see, period. That means we're responsible for everything we see. Now, some people take this a little too literally and think that they created the car that went by or the woman walking down the street. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is I am responsible for what I see. In terms of my feeling level and my thinking level and my evaluative level. And look, let's admit the fact that we're all judges. And we're all judges all the time. The course is actually asking us to let off on the judging stuff. We evaluate everything we see. It's good, it's bad, it's nice, it's not nice, it's pretty, it's ugly. So we're always throwing all these interpretations, all these evaluations onto the world. That's what we're responsible for. We're responsible for the way we see whatever it is that we're projecting out there. So I can get upset or jealous or angry or about what I'm seeing, or it can not affect me at all. Let's say typical illustration is you're driving and somebody cuts you off. So one person gets upset and hits their horn and starts giving the finger and all that sort of stuff. And for the next person, it's like, no big deal. So go ahead, get ahead of me. I really don't care. One of the things I like to say to the students is never let anything take the peace of God away from you. Never let anything take the peace of God away from you. If you begin to see that something is taking your peace away from you, stop. Stop right there and look at it and think, why am I willing to do this? Why am I willing to give my peace of mind away? Let me just keep it. The next phrase, I choose the feelings I experience. Now, the Course is really clear. There's only two choices. There's not 3 or 4 or a dozen. There's only 2 ways you can see anything. We're either looking at it with the eyes of love, or we got some fear that's associated with it. Which one do you want to use? I love the definition of Jesus as it appears in the Course in Miracles. The definition of Jesus, it appears in the Manual for Teachers in the back of the Course. The word Jesus only appears 13 times in the whole Course, and most all of those are in the Manual for Teachers. Here's the definition. It says, Jesus was a man who saw the face of Christ in all of his brothers and sisters and remembered God. How did he remember God? He remembered God by seeing the face of Christ in all of his brothers and sisters. That's the way he became the Christ. How do you become the Christ? You become the Christ by seeing the face of Christ. And every one you see, it boomerangs, it comes back. And by the way, the Course in Miracles is incredibly clear. It says the most basic law there is in the universe, most basic law there is in the universe is the law of cause and effect. Karma, what goes around comes around. As you give, so do you receive. And so we want to be careful about thinking about what am I giving? And this works, I might add, both positively and negatively. By that I simply mean the Course in Miracles says you can't hurt another without hurting yourself. Whoa, think about that. You can't hurt somebody else without hurting. Let's say you insult somebody or you say something inappropriate to them. And you're the one who's going to get hurt in that. It may hurt the other two, but you're going to get hurt. In good part because there'll be something inside that you will feel guilty about that. You will know that it was the wrong thing to do. And then you got to carry that guilt around with you. So we want to be free of guilt. That's very important. That's, the Course is so much about finding freedom from this guilt we carry around with us. Of course, the answer to that is forgiveness, whether that forgiveness means forgiving another or, more appropriately, forgiving ourselves for having made the mistake. We forgive ourselves for having made that mistake, and we go on with a resolution that I will be more careful about what I think, not just what I say, but what I think, because if I say it, first it has to be a thought. The third one is I decide upon the goal I would achieve. Now, there's only 2 possible goals. There aren't 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. The only possible goals that you could achieve are either you're going for the truth or you're caught in an illusion. And within this ego world that we live in, there's a lot of illusion. All you got to do is watch television a little bit, and it's pretty clear that there's a lot of illusion going on, right? So always be choosing in favor of the truth. Actually, I was counseling with somebody on the phone this week, and he says, I'm thinking about telling so-and-so this. What do you think? I said, no, absolutely not. Why? Said, because that would be a lie. That would be a lie, and you know that that would be a lie. And so, but just stop right there. You never want to go there, because if you go in there, you're corrupting the whole. You're corrupting yourself, your own system. We're looking to get rid of illusion. We're getting to be free of illusion. What the whole Course is about, very clearly, the Course is the miracle doesn't do anything. The Course in Miracles, the miracle undoes. It undoes what's been done. That's the forgiveness process. That's the atonement process in terms of the Course in Miracles. That's the way we engage in what the Course called reversal in thinking. We reverse the thinking. We go back the other way. Fourth, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. Whoa. It's like, whoa, I asked for this? I asked for this? I asked for this divorce? I wasn't careful when I went in here in the first place? Well, you know, you're in it. I had cancer several years ago, back in 2001 and 2002. And I remember when I first got cancer, my first response when the doctor said that I had cancer was, no, this is not part of my life's plan. I'm sorry, but it was, because I had it. So if I had it, I had to go through it. And I learned something through it. Very briefly, what I learned through it was that it didn't make any difference if I died. Because I had it spread, I had a tumor removed from my insides, and then I went into my lymph nodes, and so I really had it in the sense that I had to go through 30 weeks of chemo. But somehow, through that whole process, I never thought I was going to die. Once I made peace with death, once I said, okay, death, maybe it is my time, come get me. And after that, I realized that I probably wasn't going to die, at least not yet, right? But it helps to get around to with the day that it does come. And everything that I ask and receive as I have asked. So I want to receive this with grace, and I want to receive this with patience. I want to receive it with understanding. I want to be able to receive it peacefully. Now let's talk a little bit more about some of these ideas. If we can advance. Okay. Next slide. So this idea of the power of decision, this goes right along with the idea of responsibility. We could talk about being responsible for our decisions. That's basic to what we're talking about, being responsible for the decision our way. So this is from the Course. This is the power of decision is a determinant of every situation. That every situation in which you seem to find yourself by chance or accident. And then this next really interesting line. No accident or chance is possible within the universe as God created it, outside of which is nothing. Suffer, and you decide sin was your goal. Be happy, and you give the power of decision who must decide for God, for you. Let's go back to the line, no accident or chance is possible. So this is a classroom. This is a learning. And what we got here is a program, call it GPS, God's Plan for Salvation, which is really going to be the process by which we become free. So understand, this is no accident that I have this thing that I'm going through right now, because this is a part of my learning. And I will learn it, and I will graduate from it. And slide. So the sole responsibility, of course, Miracles says, of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. The sole responsibility. This means you recognize that mind is the only creative level, and that its errors are healed by the atonement. Once you accept this, your mind can only heal. The sole responsibility is to accept the atonement for himself. What the atonement is, again, I will remind you, the atonement is an undoing of the ego. It's a letting go. It is a subtraction. It is the sloth gets off. I get down to the purity of who I am in truth, outside of all the fussy stuff that may be on the outside. Slide. So I thought this is sort of a fun one. This is the part about everything that happens to us. This is, of course, Marilyn Monroe. And she says, I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so that you can appreciate them when they're right. You believe lies, so you eventually learn to find no one to trust, no one but yourself. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. And I thought this was interesting. This is Marilyn Monroe. This is part of her experience of life, I think. And by the way, if there's anybody who thought that this was not a real world, among them is Marilyn Monroe. We'll talk about that actually when we have the workshop this afternoon, because she got it that it couldn't all be real. Hollywood made up the whole thing. And then she says, and I went along with them. I let them do it, but I'm not a sex goddess. A sex goddess is a thing. I'm not a thing. I'm a person. I'm just Norma Jean. And she really had it with the artificial nature of the world. And then who else says the same thing here? Well, it's somebody called the Dalai Lama. Right? So when everything is falling apart, something else is trying to be born. That's like, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. That's a part of what we're saying. Do you think the Dalai Lama stole that from Marilyn Monroe? I mean, just think of the two quotes. He came after her. I mean, she was born in 26 and died. He was born in 35. That may be the end of our. Let's go to the next slide and see if that's not true. Okay, let's maybe come back to that slide. So that's the basis for our talk together. And now let's can go into gallery view rather, or something. And we're going to have a few minutes just to talk about these ideas. You can make observations or ask questions or whatever you'd like to do. So, well, of course, it wouldn't ask us to be feeling guilty about the things that we go through. Forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we made and go on and try to do better than that. That's very, very simply put, right? We don't know what kinds of stuff is going to be coming up for us. But, you know, one of the things that's all we're saying here very simply is, let's say somebody attacks you or insults you, or, you know, you're responsible for how you respond to that. That's what it's saying. You know, you can let that roll off your back like nothing. You know, the idea is to do what Jesus did in terms of that quote I gave earlier. Jesus is a man who saw the face of Christ and all of his brothers and sisters. So we're training our minds to see only the love. So if I get upset or annoyed or angry or upset, that's what I got to look at. And I got to look at, where is that? Why is that in me? And what can I do to fix that, so that all I'm doing is loving my brothers and my sisters rather than being annoyed with them, or annoyed with the president, or annoyed with whatever's going on in society. The Course really helps us to come be it. What the foundation that was published, the Course, it's called the Foundation for Inner Peace. Obviously, what we're looking for here is inner peace. And you can get to inner peace, you know. I mean, you can follow a Zen path and get to it through just being quiet and meditating. The Course is trying to help us to get to it by dealing with the problems in the world, our relationship problems, our money problems, or whatever it is, but to get into a place where we're centered. And from that centered place, then we can deal more easily. We're not crazy.
So then the accepting responsibility part isn't necessarily for the events, but it's for my interpretation of the events.
Exactly. And then how I handle it.
Yeah.
Right? Whether I get angry or attacked. I know somebody, I won't say anything about who, a couple years ago, I was counseling with this person who got fired from the job. And he got fired because he got angry a lot. And he blamed the people that were there for what was going on. And his whole life fell apart because he couldn't control his anger. Just put it that way. Right? So you're responsible for getting angry. It's like maybe there is a problem out there, but you know, you can jump on that or you can let it go. And he could not let go. He's always seeing the problem in the world. The problem is not out there in the world. The problem is in the mind, always in the mind.
I find in the midst of a meltdown, it's very hard to change my mind. I have to let it run its course.
Well, you know, you do the standard, you count to 10 and you get quiet and step back and, you know, God help me see this differently. And I was in a situation recently where I was with a group of people who started bashing our president. And I did not want to be a part of that. I couldn't add to it. I wasn't going to confront them. So I took a very long trip to the men's room and a little bit of another walk and came back, and I think they got that I was not interested in that conversation. Right? Make the choice. Well, you don't have to think of it as a deep metaphysical concept if you don't want to. I know Zen Buddhism in particular is very close to the Course in Miracles because, again, the goal for both of them is peace. I remember once years ago I said to Dr. Ken Wapnick, even though I was working as a Christian minister at the time, I said, I'm so grateful for the Course. I don't know what I'd have done without it. I think maybe I would have become a Buddhist because it's the closer to getting to that peace of mind than most other religious traditions are teaching us. They're teaching us sometimes about manipulating the world or getting involved in the world, you know, rather than being able to see the world from a higher level and be at peace regardless of the insanity of the world. The world may be insane, but I don't have to be. It's not just about sending money to be helpful to somebody in another location. It's about being the most loving human being I can be in front of everybody that I'm in front of right here, right now. So this husband, these children, my boss, store clerk, these are the people. This is where I'm supposed to be alive and alert and attentive and loving and giving. And maybe it has other extremes as well. Of course, you know, we're in a situation right now in the world where Feed America is a really important kind of a thing to be helping out with and all places. So you look and the Course is constantly hammering home this idea of as you give, so do you receive, you know, and because you have it. I'm not talking about money now. You've got to love. And if you got the love, then you're just sharing that, and that's the way you discover more about what love is. Boomerang, right? Especially watch out for the justification of it. You know, that's the ego loves to do that. That's defense of itself. By the way, when we're talking about judgment, we mean everything all the time. It's good and bad. You know, that's pretty. That's ugly. That's nice. That's not nice. That's pretty. You know, that's, whatever it is. You know, those are judgments too. And it doesn't matter. I mean, the judgments don't matter. It's just, we all have different kinds of tastes. Somebody likes modern art. The next person can't understand what modern art's all about. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. Right? The only thing that matters is giving the mind back to God again.
Thank you.
You know, let me just close with this. My wife, who's not an active student of the Course in Miracles, says that, but she's had to sit and listen to me a lot. So, yeah, pity for the poor lady. Said that the line that she likes the best is the line which goes, "Let him be what he is. Seek not to make of love an enemy," or let her be who she is. Let the situation be what it is. Seek not to make of it an enemy. Just leave it alone. And we'll be much happier if we just leave a lot of things alone. Doesn't mean you don't vote the way you want to vote and do things like that, but leave it alone. Thank you, guys. It's nice being with you. I hope that some of you will come back at 2 o'clock. We're going to jump deeper into the metaphysics of A Course in Miracles at 2. We're going to talk about the nature of the reality of this whole thing that we're a part of here. And I really talk about what I call 4 great illusions. 4 great illusions are, number 1, that you're a body. Number 2, that there's a world. We'll talk about what that means. Number 3, that we're bound by time. And number 4, that there's a you. I'll explain what I mean by a you. There is a you, but it's not the you think you are. It's not the body, for example. Hope to see somebody at that point. Thank you.